Good morning, good morning, good morning. What a fantastic and happy new day. My name is Edwina Bell, and normally called Edwina B, presenting to you from the Free to Hope 12 Steps Applied to COVID-19 Recovery Conversation. The 12 steps were originated by Alcoholics Anonymous. No, I do not represent Alcoholics Anonymous, but I've been a proud, humble, and grateful member. If God chooses to allow me to wake up and breathe life into me, on February the 23rd of 2021, we will be celebrating 31 years, one day at a time. And with day 75, he also delivered me from COVID-19, along with 7 other members of my family from December of 2020. And so for that, this is a very happy new day because he breathed life into you this morning, breathed life into me this morning. And for that, we should give him honor. We should give him praise. We should give him the acknowledgement and glory for breathing life into you and me this morning. So it is a happy new day. We may be in a new year, a new month, but we have to be present for today. So we want to give homage before we go any further, because FREE stands for From Recovery, Emerge, Empowered, to give hope to other people. God uses broken people like me and you that are wounded and shattered, and rescue wounded, shattered, and broken people like me and like you. Therefore, today is a special day, a happy new day, if we learn, apply, and practice these 12 spiritual principles, along with the CDC suggestions of washing our hands, social distancing, wearing a mask. Listen, I have mine right here. Contact tracing, getting tested, and getting vaccinated. And you'll see that footage in a second. But I always have to ask you to join me with giving 30 seconds with a moment of silence for acknowledgement to our Creator, who breathed life into you this morning and breathed life into me this morning, who woke you up this morning, who woke me up this morning to be blessed and happy in this new day. We also want to give homage to those who have lost loved ones to COVID-19, those who have transitioned with COVID-19, those who are on their dying bed right now with COVID-19, suffering from COVID-19, intervening on behalf of others with COVID-19, those who are doing the next right thing and preventing COVID-19, and for those who are still in disbelief. Yes, we have to pray for the entire human race, because I don't know where you are in that spectrum of events as a result of this COVID-19 pandemic. But there is a solution. It's our Creator, as he expressed and exposed and offered the spiritual transformation through the 12-step recovery program adopted by Alcoholics Anonymous over 80 years ago. But now we are applying it to COVID-19 Anonymous. So join me for 30 seconds of silence as we give homage to our higher power and the entire human race, as we learn and combat how to lessen the perpetuation of COVID-19, its devastating impact, effects, outcomes, and fatalities. So join me for 30 seconds of silence. On behalf of the entire human race, let me say thank you, thank you, thank you. We do that often in our 12-step program, just to give homage to the Creator that delivered millions of us from drinking, drugging, and the whole lifestyle, and the saying that can deliver us from the devastating impact of COVID-19. And so the 12 steps that I presented back in on April the 1st of 2020 was as a direct result of reading Dr. Scott T. Allison's article in Psychology Today. I went online and got the 12-step breakdown from Jason Waller, a recovering alcoholic. And on April the 1st, I presented, Free to Hope Recovery Conversation, applying these 12 spiritual principles in all our affairs, but particularly during this COVID-19 pandemic. It's only a higher power who has the information regarding the beginning, the middle, and the end of it. This is not the first pandemic that man has went through, nor will it be the last. But for right now, right here, we have a solution, and the solutions are in the 12 steps being applied to COVID-19. So with that in mind, I want to first say again, welcome. Please call your family, get your friends, create a watch party as we share this information with you and have this conversation, because we want to ask you the question: are you in the prevention, intervention, or restoration mode of COVID-19? Are you being proactive, reactive, inactive, or are you being responsible regarding COVID-19? Now that I and 7 family members survived COVID-19, I am now applying these 12 spiritual principles that I had for 30 plus years to COVID-19, because I contributed by being defiant, being rebellious, being stubborn, being egotistical, being selfish, being self-centered. And I had to remember, wow, Edwina, you are not a part of the solution. You are part of the problem. So get the step in and share it with other people. So I want to acknowledge my sponsors who have been very supportive, and I want to acknowledge them as I share with you the information. My sponsors include Free to Hope LLC, Women Do Haul Transportation Services, right? Mr. C's Barber. If you like my hairstyle, you can see the information that this crown of mine is done by Mark Cooper of Mr. C's Barbershop. The attire that I wear comes often from Morgan's of Delaware. My Afrocentric from Lady T at Morgan's of Delaware. My jewelry today is by Catherine Butler. And Divine Light, Inc., a nonprofit treatment recovery center with supporting housing. Divine Light aligns with our theme of soliciting divine intervention, divine providence, and divine light, as talked with and developed by Dr. Carl Jong, Dr. Bob, and Bill W. My resources that I will be using and have mentioned come from Scott T. Allison, PhD, on Psychology Today, where he took the Al-Anon 12 steps approach and identifying 7 points, and then extracting Jason Waller's breakdown of all the 12 steps. So I give homage to my sponsors as well to the resources that I've been using. Now, I want to also acknowledge what are the 12 steps. And so when we look at the 12 steps, we can see, before I go there, let me mention Dr. Scott T. Allison's 7 points. Letting go of control, patience, keeping the focus on oneself, trust, living in the present, social connections, and service to others. I read that article on March the 31st, and you better believe the Spirit allowed me to get the information from Jason Waller's website, and also to read and present to you the 7 points as Dr. Scott Allison referred to the Al-Anon approach in dealing with the COVID-19 during the month of April, when we had that first lockdown or stay at home demand. I know we ain't in jail, but some of us feel like that, right? But how we as a society can benefit from the wisdom of the 12-step program. So let's find out what those 12 steps are. And again, as you know, repetition is very important. So I want to let you know, when we change the area of focus from alcohol, gambling, lust, narcotics, cocaine, they're all 12-step programs that use the same original steps. So now we're applying them to COVID-19 Anonymous. One, we admitted we were powerless over COVID-19, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. That only means soundness of mind. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God. 4, made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, which is the principle we've been on for a couple of days and will remain there for another couple of days, were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. We have 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others, even you. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry it out. And 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others regarding COVID-19 and practice these principles in all our affairs. The 12 steps that I am now applying to COVID-19 and trying to give the information to you so that you don't have to go through what I and others have gone through if you just learn to listen and listen to learn. And we know in a 12-step program, repetition is crucial if we are to have that information penetrate our very soul, so that the 12 steps can provide you information to address your old and existing attitudes, ideas, and behaviors. Provide you this information that will create a psychic change in your attitudes, ideas, and behaviors, and therefore you will generate and produce ideas, attitudes, and behaviors, actions, choices, and decisions based from a spiritual angle to deal with these physical conditions, okay? Because we know that in a 12-step program, they say some of us must die in order for some of us to live. As sad as that sounds, it is so true. And so the same thing applies to COVID-19. They also say in a 12-step program, some of us are just constitutionally incapable of being honest, right? They're not at fault. They seem to have been born that way, okay? But when the how of the program of a 12-step is applied, how, H is for honesty, O is for open-mindedness, W is for willingness. Once we do that, we can obtain that psychic change that's needed to adopt our attitudes, ideas, behaviors, wisdom, lack of wisdom, choices, decisions from a spiritual angle dealing with this physical condition. Now, as a result of the CDC suggestion, I now take that seriously. I took it for granted with this COVID-19. I was defiant, I was rebellious and all that, and I contributed to contracting COVID-19. But you better believe I wear a mask, I wash my hands, I social distance, I get tested, and I even got vaccinated. You don't believe me? Well, let me show you, okay? If you like me, you're from Missouri, I want to see it. No problem. I got it right here for you. Woo! All right, here we go, my dog. Got it.
All righty. Put your Band-Aid on. We'll watch you for about 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then we'll check on you and we'll give you a date. In about a month, we'll call you. How about that?
In a month?
Yeah.
All right.
28 days.
All right. So you see, I'll be contacted in another week or so to get my second shot. I got the Pfizer vaccine, and I'm telling you, I was also one who was skeptical, didn't want to get it, had hesitation, had reservations. But you know what? When I think about how I suffered and how I think about my 2-year-old who suffered, and out of the 8 of us, only 2 of us had symptoms. The other were asymptomatic. So when I read and did my research and asked questions about the vaccine, it doesn't prevent us from catching COVID-19. What it does is reduce the symptoms, the severity of the symptoms that comes with COVID-19. Therefore, I won't possibly be hospitalized, and I won't possibly have to succumb to the fatality of COVID-19. So I did my history. I definitely prayed, and I went and got the shot because God knows I still wear my mask. I still wash my hands. I still social distance, right? I get tested, and I have contact tracing. So applying these 12 spiritual principles, dealing with this physical condition here on this earthly journey, while we as a world, a human population, simultaneously go through this knee-bowing experience of this COVID-19 and these variants that are here too, right? But guess what? When we apply these 12 spiritual principles, we will be encouraged to take the suggestions of the CDC, and you better believe we can, we must, we will stop the perpetuation of COVID-19. So, as I stated, we are continuing recovery principle number 6, but let's continue with the update before we get into our discussion. All right. And I would like to say our morning conversation. You know that for the past few days, I have been presenting an overview of 1 through 5, just in case you need a reminder, just in case you didn't listen and you just heard, but now you get to listen. So this is the preparation to recovery principle number 6. I will always provide an overview, a synopsis, an outline, so that you can catch up, so that you can review, and so that you can apply. This information is no good unless you apply it and practice it in all your affairs, particularly regarding COVID-19. 1, we admitted we were powerless over COVID-19 and that our lives had become unmanageable. It's basically saying to us, taking 100% total acceptance without any reservations. Without this step being taken 100%, there's no way you can adapt a spiritual attitude, idea, behavior, actions, and decisions to combat this COVID-19. 2, came to believe that a power or powers greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Sanity only means soundness of mind. The CDC's suggestion is a power greater than you. Tangible evidence is a power greater than you. Experience of other people expressed in groups are a power greater than you. A higher power, whoever you choose to call him, is a power greater than you. I had to remind myself of that instead of thinking I had the power to control my hand washing and all that. No, I needed to follow the suggestions that were powers and a power greater than me. Then 3, I needed to find out how I need to constantly make that decision to turn my will and my life over to that power or powers. So we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. If that power or powers greater than you and I are working for our good and in our best interest, why wouldn't we want to keep making that decision to turn our will and our lives over so that we can continue to be safe and also helped save the lives of others. Recovery principle number 4 made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves. When, where, and how were your character defects formulated, such as selfishness, defiance, stubbornness, egotistical, being prideful, self-centered, rebellious? When did all that start? And when we take that searching and fearless more inventory, we will identify some character defects. When we get to recovery principle number 5, we admit it to God, who already knows. To ourselves, we already know, but talking with another human being can help get us to the exact nature of those character defects. So we select a person who will not co-sign our stuff, but help us get to the core of those character defects. And we suggest that you be as honest as you can, emptying that garbage can, emptying that trash can, releasing that baby and hugging that baby, right? Oh, right. You got my drift, right? And then to acknowledge and accept what you find to be the exact nature and be willing to get help to face it. Instead of taking fear in a negative way, we in recovery look at it in a positive and spiritual way, where we learn to face everything and recover. And so that is the overview of 1 through 5. Let's continue with our morning conversation with recovery number 6. But I shared with you how in my 4th step, I identified the resentment I had against COVID-19 and myself, right? But that resentment was camouflaged and masked by anger, uncertainty, confusion, frustration, and disbelief. And to determine that fear was the exact nature. When I didn't do what I was supposed to do, I had a resentment against myself. That resentment was camouflaged by stupidity, defiance, rebellion, stubbornness, right? Selfishness, self-centered, regrets, remorse, and at the end, fear. Face everything and recover. No longer forget everything and run. All right. And so when we address that, we now go to recovery principle number 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all those defects of characters, those that I just described to you on the previous slide. And Charles Du Bois asked me, asked you, and made this quote: the important thing is this: to be able at any moment to sacrifice what we are for what we could be. And when I think about how I took this COVID-19 for granted and how I was, and being stubborn, self-centered, selfish, I'm not going to listen to nobody tell me when to wash my hands or how long and where, and I'm not going to have nobody tell me when to wear a mask. Listen, I started, but I stopped. And after a while, it became, a nuisance. But guess what? When I contracted COVID-19 and infected my family members, oh, hell to the no. I don't want to ever go through that again. And you don't have to go through that if you just listen to the experience, hope, and strength and wisdom, lack of wisdom, choices and decisions bad that helped me contribute to contracting COVID-19 and infecting my loved ones. And if you need more information, talk to those individuals who have lost loved ones to COVID-19. Ask them what they would have done differently. Do they have the if I coulda, woulda, shoulda type of feelings? But guess what? There's hope for them and getting rid of the guilt and the remorse and being able to save their lives and those that are also left behind. So it's never too late. All right. So we want to address the fact that we are who we are, but these 12 steps can help us to become what we were designed to be. Right? And we can become a part of the solution and no longer a part of the problem. When you have set the example for yourself, for your loved ones who are watching you, who are listening to you, that saying, do as I say and not as I do, it does not work. So I suggest that you embark on these 12 steps, particularly with recovery principle number 6, because we are asking the question, are we entirely ready to have God remove all our defects of character? And if you have a problem with character defects, I listed mine. You can list yours, right? Let's start with the 7 deadly sins: pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. How can these 7 deadly sins be applied to your attitudes, ideas, and behaviors regarding COVID-19? What about some of the others, as anger, resentment, dishonesty, defiance, rebellion? How can those character defects that you have found that it's fear, Because some of these character defects, if not majority of them, are based in fear, which is the exact nature. Now, can you name some of your character defects you would like to have removed? And guess what? All we have to do is be ready, and in some cases entirely ready, because we never know what moment when we let our guard down that the enemy steps in, and doggone it, we got caught. So the purpose of these 12 steps and staying in the present and keeping the focus on oneself will help us adapt that attitude, idea, and behavior that are spiritual in nature to produce positive and spiritual attitudes, ideas, behaviors, choices, and decisions in order to save my life, to save my loved one's life, and possibly save your life. All right. So now that we've gone through that update, now is the time when we actually get into the foundation of some things. So let me start by saying, many of you know I've been sharing Jason Waller's breakdown, and he provides sections to help us break each and every step down. So if you need to see the original, when I contracted COVID-19 on December the 3rd, go back to that podcast, okay? And you will see the transformation. And if you saw my opening page, you will see, shucks, let me show you now. Wait a minute. Okay, Edwina, let me see. Let me show you now what that looked like, all right? So you may be from Missouri too, okay? Look at that. That's me right there when I contracted COVID-19 in November and December. And as I got better, then you see the other side. But I believe in being totally transparent. Let me show you what COVID looked like on me at that time. I didn't have these pretty white dentures in. No, I didn't. I was achy. I couldn't breathe to my fullest capacity. I couldn't taste. I couldn't feel. My body ached like a toothache. So you see, before and after. And that's why, listen, to God be the glory. Yes, I can breathe. I can smell. I can taste. I can see. Yes, I can feel. I can hear. But the goal is to listen. And so go back to December the 3rd of day 1 of 75 to see my transformation, my transition with COVID-19. But if you want to go back to my original podcast and presenting the 12 steps to you, go back to April the 1st of 2020, and you can get caught up. You can review, you can share it, you can repost it. I'm going to have them replayed. Listen, on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. And that's why I'm soliciting sponsors so I can increase the platform, because the information is free. It's free. And the 12-step program is free. So freely we receive and freely we give. But in order for me to increase my platform and update my equipment and give you the most professional presentation, then I need support. All right. So now the foundation before all the steps, and that's why I love Jason Waller's breakdown. Now, I didn't even know he was an actor, right? And when I saw him and his wife and his family, and he has like a reality, well, I'm not going to say a reality show, but he is actually documenting his recovery process. He had a relapse and whatnot, and he learned something from it, and he still kept on one day at a time, giving it It's all in practicing these 12 steps. And I read his breakdown. I was like, wow, he makes it so simplistic by including other resources and coupled with his own experience, strength, and hope and wisdom. And I am doing the same thing. So every time that we present a new step that are all spiritual in nature, we give you the preparation information as to why you should do that step, the benefit of doing it, the purpose of doing it, what you can look to achieve from it, and more importantly, that spiritual transformation that will address any and all of your existing and old attitudes, ideas, behaviors, choices, and decisions. Okay, so we went over the first session. We introduced the first section that introduced why we're doing the 6th step. We went over breaking down step 6, right? And now we said that we was going to focus today on shortcomings you're ready to let go of. And we know that character defects are nothing more than God-given natural instincts that have far exceeded their intended purpose. And just the word defect should be enough to want you to have them removed, right? And so when we think about the defects, liabilities that are a part of our character, the wrongs we have done, the wrong things we have said, the people we have hurt, and all of that we discovered in recovery principle number 4. And then when we met with a person to help us get to the exact nature, and we saw ourselves as an onion, as an iceberg, that, that onion is so filled with layers of defects that have far exceeded their God-given intended purpose. And that's all we're asking for this God of our understanding to remove, so that we can be used by him to help ourselves and our fellow human beings, right? So wouldn't you want all of those character defects removed? I know I needed to have them removed when I had that attitude of being invincible, okay? So when I fell short, now I'm applying these steps to COVID-19 now, you better believe I have a different attitude. All right, so this section is called Shortcomings You're Ready to Let Go of. With Jason Waller, he uses the alcohol and drug information. I am going to replace the area of focus with COVID-19, okay? And we're going to dissect and do surgery on these sections so you can get it. So make sure you are listening. It says, while working on step 6, we learn about the humility it takes to see ourselves more clearly. We see that character defects and instincts work hand in hand. That's the first sentence of this section. Now, I like to go word for word, sentence by sentence. I don't want to miss nothing, and I don't want you to miss nothing, right? It says while working. Wow. That means in the process, right? While we're in the process of working on 6th step, we learn about the humility. Do you know what humility is? Do you know what it means? Have you any idea the spiritual angle of humility? Of being humble, right? Many of us know what it's like to be humiliated or humiliate other people. But have we learned what true humility is and what it means, and the spiritual approach and the spiritual blessing it offers? All right. So it says, while working on step 6, we learn. So whatever attitudes or ideas you had about humility, well, by working step 6, guess what? We're going to learn something more. We're going to increase our spiritual maturity. we are going to increase the ability to obtain that psychic change because we're going to learn more about humility while we are working on the 6th step. Mm-hmm. And it takes to learn about the humility, it takes to see ourselves more clearly. So that's why we are going to learn more about humility so that we can see ourselves the way we are. Without shame, without regret, without remorse. Because we found out not what's wrong with us, we found out through the steps what happened to us, particularly in step 4. And then in step 5, we got to the exact nature. Not what's wrong with you, not what's wrong with me, having that defiant attitude, thinking that this COVID-19 is a hoax, not what's wrong with you, what happened to you to bring about that idea, that thought, that behavior, that action, that decision. What happened? Help me to understand. I'll help you to understand me, right? So what happened? So that with humility, we can see ourselves more clearly. Not the surface, not the outside. But when we got involved in steps 4 and 5, we went inside and revealed everything that we've been concealing most of our lives, even up until now. And that's why they suggest we be as honest as we possibly can. Can I tell you something? They say in the 12-step program that this recovery has to be for you. Your mom, your dad, your children, that's all good. But you are the one, I am the one who lived that addiction. I was the one who was underneath that parked car. I was the one who tried to commit suicide several times. I was the one that was raped. I was the one that caused harm to people. I was the one that neglected my children and neglected myself. I went through there, so therefore recovery has to start with me. Knowing that I needed it, I learned that I need to want it. And through my process, you hear what I said? Process. Underneath that parked car 30 plus years ago, my face literally on the ground, I was more than sick and tired of me. And I hollered out to a God that I didn't know to take me out this life now or show me a better way. And he set me on the pathway to recovery. And I haven't looked back since. I only go back to look at what happened to me so that these steps can give me that spiritual transformation to put my attitudes, ideas, behaviors, decisions, choices in the right perspective based on this new information. Yes. So when I practice having more humility, they say in recovery, the sooner you tell yourself the truth, the sooner you can get better. And when you do that, the sooner the God of your understanding will begin to use you. I told you God uses broken, wounded, and shattered people like me and like you to rescue wounded, shattered, and broken people like you and like me. We have a purpose. As Dr. Scott T. Allison, we are here to be of service to others. But if I don't apply these 12 spiritual principles to myself, there's no way you can be included. There's no way you will benefit from it unless I do it for myself. So the sooner I get honest, totally honest with myself, present myself to this thing called recovery as if I'm spiritually naked, like that onion and that iceberg, unravel those defects, get to the core of my essence of why I'm here. And to deal with physical conditions now from a spiritual angle, even with COVID-19. Okay, calm down, Edwina. I tell you, I get the okay. All right. So it says here, while working on step 6, we learn about the humility it takes to see ourselves more clearly. We see that character defects and instincts work hand in hand. Okay, yes, I have the instinct to be social, right? I'm talking about social distancing, right? So I have the natural instinct of socializing, socialization, right? And that's good. But when I apply COVID-19 and its devastating impact, effects, outcomes, and fatalities, I can still practice that social connection, that socialization by protecting myself, therefore protecting you. And when I decide to socialize, embark on socialization, and I refuse to wear the mask, I pick and choose when to wear the mask. I pick and choose when to wash my hands. I pick and choose who I want to be around. Then that's where it becomes defected. So when it says it works hand in hand, what is the God-given natural instinct, but what is the common sense? What is the practical thing to do? What is the right next thing to do while we are socializing? In order to save your life, to save my life, and to save the lives of our loved ones, our community, our city, our state, our country, and if we do it around the world simultaneously, we can, we will, we must stop the perpetuation of COVID-19. So when it says we see that character defects and instincts work hand in hand, can't you just imagine having this recovery conversation already get you to start thinking, get you to start wondering, do I do that? Do I feel that way? Wow, I didn't look at it like that. Well, nobody ever asked you. Nobody ever asked me. But through these 12 steps that are spiritual in nature, we are asked those challenging, uncomfortable, painful questions that will bring about the relief that we have been seeking all our lives, but not resorting to physical things, physical remedies, like drugs, alcohol, shopping, gambling, right? To deal with inner issues when we have this program called the 12 steps that we go inside and get you to want to empty that trash can, empty that garbage can, get rid of that diarrhea, as painful as that is, and you conceal and release those things. Oh my God, you're talking about free from recovery, emerge empowered, and to do what? Give hope to others. Help others prosper equally. That's why the sooner I tell myself the truth, the sooner I'll get better. And now I'm able to tell you the truth without no fear, without no shame. I am transparent as they come. Ask somebody. All right, so we see that character defects and instincts work hand in hand. So you see why we are building the preparation. We are building the platform of why step 6 is so important, and why you need to embrace it, why you need to marinate on it, why you need to internalize it, because it's going to create that humility to find out why you are like you are in 4 and 5. And once you find out what happened to you to make this creator, whoever you call him, your higher power, to remove any and all things that will hinder you from not taking the CDC suggestions. Do your own research. Do your own homework. Ask the questions. because they are designed to save your life. Just like the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous saved my life, coming up on 31 years from underneath that parked car. So you better believe I want to practice these principles in all my affairs, because I had the chance to do it with this COVID-19. But no, it says that the natural instincts and defects work hand in hand. So I am work in progress. I am liable and most likely will continue to act out on my character defects. And that's why these steps are so important, because it reminds me, Edwina, there is a solution. Apply the information you did to alcohol and drugs to COVID-19, now that you have been saved from it and your family members. Yes. And so we see that character defects and instincts work hand in hand. It says we are given instincts to help us stay alive. Procreation, survival, socialization, right? Security, yes. We are given, did you hear that? Given instincts. We are given instincts, all of us, every human being. And when we learn the 12 steps and begin to apply them, and we learn about those character defects, we wonder why we clash with other people. We learn why we even clash within ourselves. Because those natural instincts want to stay low, but them character defects, oh, they want to get wild. Why? Because I need to find out what happened to me to bring about wanting more than my share, to bring about dishonesty, infidelity, right? To bring about deceit, to bring about lusting and all that. And with this COVID-19, not wanting to do what somebody tells me to do. I need to go back to my natural instincts, apply the CDC suggestions so we can stay alive. It also says, however, when our abundant instincts or desires far exceed their intended purpose, motivate us to act blindly, or make us willfully demand that we be supplied with more satisfactions than are possible or due, they then become character defects. Did you listen to that? Listen to this again, right? I'm like I say, I'm from Missouri, right? Not literally, right? But this cup, like I shared the other day, we are born with natural instincts. And as we embark on this life journey and we begin to be affected and influenced by other people outside circumstances, right? Those natural instincts, they begin to far exceed their purpose, because we don't have a lot of control of what's going on around us. We don't have a lot of control what's going on within us, right? And so our need to defend, our need to get more, our need to be greedy and all that kind of stuff begins to grow. And we grow from those natural instincts that were given to us. And so as our character defects, man, listen, where are those natural instincts? I don't know where they are, because my character defects are up through the roof. So when our abundant instincts or desires far exceed their intended purpose, motivate us to act blindly, or make us willfully demand that we be supplied with more satisfactions than are possible or due, they then become character defects. And that's what we're asking this power greater than us to remove. Okay? Let's go to the next sentence of this section. Okay? It says, it's important when looking at our character defects in step 6 to remember the basic nature of all human beings, which is the same for all of us. We all have needs and we try to get them met. How we go about getting them is where defects come into play. Oh, I love Jason Waller and this breakdown. Oh my God. Did you hear that? It's important when looking at my character defects, anger, resentment, lusting, right? Stubbornness, pride, gluttony, sloth, wrath, right? When we look, at our character defects, you know what they are, right? In step 6, to remember the basic nature of all human beings. So that feeling that I am in this and I'm all by myself, no, you ain't. When they say no man is an island, you better believe it. But think about it, how self-centered we have become. And that's what we talk about in our 12-step program. The core of our disease is self-centeredness. I, me. More. Yes. The basic nature of all human beings. So do I have the right? How selfish am I when I disregard your feelings, your needs, and I want to do mine and take yours too? It says we all have needs, every human being, and we try to get them met. You wonder why you clash with your spouse. You wonder why you clash with your children. You want to know why you clash with this person and that person. It's because of those character defects that are within all of us. Those natural instincts that have far exceeded their intended purpose long ago and have grown defects. So we don't know where those natural instincts are anymore. And we are some defected human beings. You, me, and everybody to some extent, shape, form, or fashion. And now you know why we clash. But with these 12 spiritual principles, particularly with step 6, we're asking the power that's greater than us to remove them. To remove them. From me, from you. So that when you practice these 12 spiritual principles, you don't recognize your character defects. You working on God removing them. And then when you go to clash with somebody, you got one who got a fist and you got one that says, I surrender. No more clashing. I surrender. Come on. No, I surrender. Because we learn in recovery not to give anything or anybody that much power ever again to make us go back to drinking. Do you hear me? So I'm not letting anything or anybody stop me, prevent me from doing what is designed to save my life. Wear the mask. Sometimes I forget to take it off, and my grandchild has to remind me, Mom, you got to take your mask off. It's bedtime. Okay. Wash my hands, social distance, right? Yes. Get tested, get vaccinated. So when I apply these steps, particularly recovery principle number 6, I got rid of that through my higher power of being defiant, of being rebellious, of being combative. Oh, no. That serenity prayer, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You better believe, as a result of contracting COVID-19, going through my severe symptoms, watching my 2-year-old go through those symptoms, I now have wisdom to know the difference from Edwina's will to God's will, as demonstrated with these CDC suggestions. Why? Because I'm now applying these 12 spiritual principles to deal with these physical conditions. Okay? All right. So, to be clear, defects of character does not mean you are defective or that you are a bad character. In fact, instead of seeing your faults and failings as defects, you should reframe it as shortcomings that can be addressed and worked on. Did you hear that? To be clear, defects of character does not mean you are defective or that you are a bad character. In fact, instead of seeing your faults and failings as defects, you should reframe it as shortcomings that can be addressed and worked on. Let me give you an example before we close. Yesterday, I had to hear something from one of my grandchildren, right? And my automatic defects came up. Anger, rage, disappointment, frustration, being furious based on what he shared with me about what he did. My initial reaction came from my humanness. But because I am work in progress, because I have this new information that I've had for over 30 plus years, now I get a chance to apply it if I choose to. And I prayed for God to help me remove the shortcomings of anger, frustration, rage, intolerance, and patience. Help me. And by the time I got in front of my grandson, some of that humanness was still there. However, I had sent a message that we kind of give ourselves some distance. Give ourselves some distance. Give me some distance so I can calm down. So I can, listen. I called his therapist to get some help. After I prayed, I called his therapist, right? Because by the time I got to him, I needed to be, to look at this from a spiritual angle and not react to my humanness on this physical condition and choices that he made. And before we left each other's presence, I said to him, let me tell you, I love you. I love you. I love you. But I don't like what you did. But I love you. So don't get it twisted. I love you, but I don't like what you did. I didn't like those actions because it has consequences more severe than you know. But I need to tell you that I love you, but I didn't like those actions. And when we get together, we're going to have a conversation. And that's what I mean by applying these 12 spiritual principles, giving you an example, right? Because the God who forgives me, loves me just the way I am, but he doesn't like the decisions and actions that I do, particularly when I allowed myself to contribute to contracting COVID-19 and affecting my loved ones. He didn't like that. He yet loved me, and I yet love you. And so don't be like me and others. Please. Wear the mask. Wash your hands. Social distance. Contact tracing. Get tested. Get vaccinated. Because our higher power loves us. And for those who listen and those who embrace the 12 spiritual principles dealing with this physical condition, we can, we will, we must stop the perpetuation of COVID-19. Wait a minute. Let me plug this thing in. Thank you, Lord. Okay, wait a minute, y'all. I don't want this thing to cut off. All right, so listen, I pause, okay? And so if it's God's will that we are rejoined tomorrow for day 76, we're going to continue Shortcomings. And are you ready to let go? So the question comes again. Are you being proactive, inactive, reactive, or responsible regarding COVID-19? Are you in the prevention, intervention, or restoration mode of COVID-19? Only you can answer that question. The other question is, I hope you are listening. I hope you are listening this moment, at this time, because the decisions we make now will determine, are we going to do the next thing or are we going to do the next right thing regarding COVID-19? And if doing the next right things means washing our hands, wearing a mask, social distancing, contact tracing, getting tested and getting vaccinated, then do it. Just do it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But it's because I love you. I love you because I love myself. And when you love yourself, you can love other people. So I love me. And therefore I can say, I love you. I love your family because I got one too. I love my culture because you have one too. I love my community because you have one too. I love my city because you have one too. I love my state because you have one too. I love my country because you have one too. And if we all do this simultaneously in a holistic manner around the world, we can, we will, we must stop the perpetuation of COVID-19. Its outcome, its effects, right? And their fatalities. Okay? So let me again thank my sponsors. And if it's God's will that we are rejoined tomorrow, for day 76, so be it. I'll be here. If it's God's will that he breathes life into me this morning, breathe life into you tomorrow morning, wakes you up tomorrow, wakes me up tomorrow, we will be reunited for day 76. In the meantime, my sponsors are Free to Hope, Women Do Hall Transportation Services, Mr. C's Barbershop, Morgans of Delaware, Lady T at Morgans of Delaware, Jewelry by Catherine Butler, Devon Light, and my credited resources are Scott T. Allison, PhD, Psychology Today, March 2020 edition, and Jason Waller, Breaking Down 12 Steps, jasonwaller.com. So go and get his information. And also, if you would like to be a sponsor, please contact me at edwina.bell@yahoo.com, 302-690-6679. I will list your organization. If you have a mask, I will wear your mask. I will help promote your business because you are believing in me and what we're doing through our Creator to save one life, one family, one community, one culture, one city, one state, one country, one human race. We can do it. All right, so contact me if you're interested in being a sponsor. And so what I want to also share is the banner that I have and changed of my book. And so let me take this off and bring to you my closing page. All right. So be safe, be safe, be safe. Okay. Be